Miami Herons about an hour and a half away from being in action in Leagues Cup, a tournament which Inter Miami has won before. Welcome on into Pink Smoke, where we talk everything Lionel Messi, everything Inter Miami, and I am live at New Stadium. I will be on the call tonight for Inter Miami and San Luis. Now, we'll break down San Luis. We'll break down what we think we're going to be seeing from Inter Miami. Now, Lionel Messi will be in the starting 11. Messi going to be starting his first game post-World Cup. We saw Leo come in for, the better half of almost a half hour in the second half in the game against Columbus, where Inter Miami picked up a 2-2 draw here at New Stadium. But Lionel Messi expected to start tonight, first start post the World Cup. Now, for those of you that aren't really familiar with what Leagues Cup is, I'm going to explain it for you. I'm going to explain what Phase 1 is, the setup, the whole 9 yards. Now, Phase 1, folks, is the group stage, and that's August 4th through the 13th. Inter Miami is going to be playing San Luis at New Stadium tonight. They're going to be playing Monterrey coming up on Saturday. So we'll continue to, update you on the opponents that they're facing. But Phase 1, a.k.a. the group stage, is August 4th through August 13th. The tournament kicks off with 36 clubs, all 18 teams from Liga MX and 18 qualified teams from the MLS. So 18 Liga MX teams and 18 MLS teams. The teams are split up into Eastern and Western regions. There are no domestic matches. Every single game is MLS versus Liga MX. Each club plays 3 matches against opponents from the other league. So Inter Miami will be facing 3 Liga MX opponents. Tonight, obviously, San Luis, and then Monterrey coming up a couple Saturdays from now, and we'll get you the next opponent here in a second. But keep that in mind. Each club plays 3 matches against opponents from the other leagues. If a match is tied after 90 minutes, it goes straight to a penalty shootout. So there are no ties allowed in Leagues Cup, folks. If it is a draw after 90 minutes, we don't play extra time. We go right into a penalty kick shootout. As far as points, a standard win gets 3 points, just like how it is within the MLS. A penalty shootout win, though, only gets 2 points, and a penalty loss gets 1 point. So, folks, think of it like full win in 90, 3 points. A win in free kicks, 2 points, and if you get to free kicks, it's 1 point. And obviously, if you lose in the 90 minutes, you get 0 points. But even if you lose in the penalty kick shootout, you get 1 point. There are no group winners. Instead, all MLS teams are tracked on one giant leaderboard, as well as all Liga MX teams. Only the top 4 teams from each league's table moves on. So if Inter Miami wins all 3 of their games and they have 9 points and they're one of the top 4, they'll be moving on. And listen, Inter Miami could lose a game or draw a game, and if they're one of the top 4 teams, they will move on. They will move on to what we call the quarterfinal, and that is Phase 2. So once again, we just went over Phase 1, the group stage. 3 points for a win, 2 points if you win in a penalty shootout, 1 point if you lose in a penalty shootout. There's no extra time, and after 90 minutes, it goes right to said penalty shootout. So the maximum amount of points. If you want the maximum amount of points, you need to win in 90 minutes. Now, let's explain Phase 2, which is the quarterfinal. It's going to happen August 15th through the 16th. The tournament will shift to a brutal single elimination bracket with the final 8 surviving teams. The 4 best MLS teams and the 4 best Liga MX teams, like we've mentioned from Phase 1, leaderboard positions determine the seeding. So the top MLS seed plays the lowest Liga MX seed and vice versa. And it's win or go home. From this point on, if you lose, you are out of the tournament. August 19th will be the semifinals. The final 4 teams battle it out for 1 spot at the big stage, at the championship. Winning this match guarantees a spot in the championship. The two winners of the semifinal also secure themselves automatic qualification in the prestigious CONCACAF Champions Cup. And folks, if you remember, let's rewind, back to February, back to March, when CONCACAF Champions Cup happened, our Inter Miami Herons lost to Nashville on away goals. Inter Miami, for the record, Inter Miami did not lose a matchup to Nashville, but they were eliminated because of an ancient and archaic and an unfair away goal rule. Nashville scored an away goal at the final game that Inter Miami ever played at Chase Stadium in Fort Lauderdale, but Inter Miami also scored in the game. It was 1-1, but Inter Miami was the team to go home because they failed to score on the road against Nashville. But listen, I think it's really cool that the top two teams get an automatic spot in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Our chairman and our owner of Inter Miami, Jorge Mas, we've heard him explain how he wants Inter Miami to hoist up that trophy one day. It's a very prestigious trophy on this side in North America. I could argue it's probably one of the more prestigious trophies. I think the MLS trophy, the MLS Cup trophy, I think that's the hardest to win on this side of the continent. But listen, the CONCACAF Champions Cup is basically the Champions League of the Western Hemisphere. In Europe, you have what is called the UEFA Champions League, and they call it the winners of Europe, champions of Europe. The champions of America is what I call CONCACAF Champions Cup, and the two winners from Liga MX, the semifinal stage, Metro Mercy, of the two winners of the semifinal in Phase 3, will get into CONCACAF Champions Cup. All right, Phase 4, you have a third place and a championship. Third place, obviously the two losing semifinal teams, they'll play for pride in the final available slot into the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So 3 teams will be getting into the CONCACAF Champions Cup. The 2 teams, obviously, that make the final, and then the winner of the third place game. So, listen, this isn't one of those things. Where that game doesn't mean anything. And listen, for the record, the third place game at the FIFA World Cup technically didn't really mean much, didn't really mean anything other than maybe an extra $2-3 million for the federation. I've even argued on this show and my show with my partner Colin Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 1063. I even argued that, that game is meaningless. We don't need to play it. Well, you actually need to play this game because you got to find out who's going to be in Champions Cup, the third place match in Leagues Cup. And then obviously, folks, the Cup final, the final 2 teams, winner take all, and we could really crown an ultimate champ of North America. So, folks, that's Leagues Cup. That's Leagues Cup in a nutshell. Inter Miami has won this competition. They won it 2 times ago. I think, and then obviously going to the Cup final last year, I do think Inter Miami is the favorite coming into this tournament. I think anytime in my honest opinion, anytime Inter Miami plays a North American team on this side of the hemisphere, I think they should be favorites. And I think that's how our chairman and CEO, Jorge Mas, would want it set up. And I personally love how Inter Miami is operating like they are a big European soccer team. Listen, I think the MLS has come a long way. Some of these leagues in Europe have been around for almost the better half of 150, close to 200 years. The MLS is new. We're figuring things out. Our league has grown. But I truly think in order to get the big-time players consistently, whatever you want to call it, to grow the game, I think we got to adopt a European style of football, which is no playoffs, relegation system, and really having the, quote, playoffs be Leagues Cup and be competitions like the CONCACAF Champions Cup. I think that's how you legitimize it more. And listen, to me, the MLS is already legitimate. I love the league. It's my favorite league in the world. But at the same time, I hear the naysayers. I hear the haters. I love that we're doing the Sprint Series next year. And for those of you that don't know Sprint Season. For those of you that don't know what the Sprint Season is, we're going to do a 14-game season that goes from the winter to May to get on track with the European calendar. So Inter Miami season in 2027 will be August to May. And it'll be on the same calendar that the Premier League is on, Bundesliga, La Liga, and I think that's ultimately going to help our league. And I think it's the first step in the right direction to kind of getting on the same page with those other leagues. Call me an ancient football fan. I don't need playoffs. The league table should matter. Keep in mind, Lionel Messi, the greatest player of all time. When our GOAT came here to Miami, we had they broke the MLS record with the amount of points in a single season. Usually, folks, that is good enough to win your league. We ultimately ended up losing to Atlanta in the playoffs in the second round. And folks, once again, the MLS first round is the 8 versus the 9 in the Western and Eastern Conference side. But when Lionel Messi and all the boys came here, Luis Suarez, Jordi Alba, Sergio Busquets, they did enough to win the league from what they were used to for 20 years. If you have the most points at the end of the year, you win the league. But that's not how it is here in North America. And I guess, listen, I understand people like the MLS play, and I'm not saying I don't like the MLS playoffs. Let's not make that the narrative. I just think to help even grow the league even bigger, I think you got to get on the same page with the other leagues. 888-760-3776. League Cup action coming up tonight. Kickoff at New Stadium coming up at 7:30. Lionel Messi back in the starting lineup. We have Phase 1 of Leagues Cup kicking off tonight. Once again, Phase 1, August 4th through August 13th. 36 clubs, 18 teams from Liga MX, 18 teams from Liga MX, and 18 teams from the MLS. 36 total. They're split into Eastern and Western regions. No domestic matches. Every single game is MLS versus Liga MX. Each club plays 3 matches against the opponents from the other league. If a match is tied after 90, you automatically go into a penalty shootout. 3 points for a win in 90 minutes. 2 points for a win in the penalty shootout. 1 point if you're the loser in the penalty shootout. And obviously, folks, 0 points if you lose in 90 minutes. There are no small group winners. Instead, all MLS teams and Liga MX teams are tracked on one giant leaderboard. Only the top 4 teams from each league of the table move on. So out of the 18 Liga MX teams, there are going to be 4 teams that advance into the knockout. And out of the 18 MLS teams, 4 teams from the MLS will move on. Inter Miami has been a winner of this tournament in years past. Let's see if we could set up another trophy for Lionel Messi to hoist here in South Florida. Folks, get on out to your local South Florida Audi dealer. They are proud sponsors of your Inter Miami radio network and here on Pink Smoke. And instead of going around the MLS, we're going to go around the League's Cup with Audi. Test drive the brand new Q3. Test drive the brand new Q5. Go to AudiUSA.com to learn more. You can find your local dealer near you. Get a test drive, and folks, pull into that lot in style at New Stadium with a brand new Audi. Audi is the official electric and premium car partner of IMCF football. Couple matches already played in Leagues Cup. Action officially started yesterday. The Columbus Crew defeated Atlas 3-1. Cincinnati defeated Pachuca 3-1. Juarez defeated Minnesota United 2-1. Charlotte beat Pumas 3-0. Tigres and Salt Lake drew 1-1. And then Atalante beat Vancouver 1-0. So, folks, a very favorable MLS scoreboard. Let's count them up. Columbus, Cincinnati, Charlotte. That's 3 winners for the MLS against the Liga MX. 1 loser in Minnesota, and then 1 loser in Vancouver. So 3 wins for MLS, 2 wins for Liga MX, and 1 draw, Tigres and Salt Lake. The game's coming up tonight. Obviously, you have our Inter Miami Herons doing battle against San Luis. That's a 7:30 start time. Monterrey, who Inter Miami will be seeing coming up this Saturday. They're taking on the Purple People Eaters in the team up north in Orlando. Antoine Griezmann has been on a heater since he's joined Orlando from Atlético Madrid. We'll have to see if Griezmann will have enough snuff and moxie to defeat Monterrey in Monterrey. That game is in Mexico, too. A tough challenge for Orlando coming up tonight. more Leagues Cup action. You got Dallas and Cuadrado. You got Nashville and León, Toluca and Seattle, and LAFC and Chivas. Your Leagues Cup after dark tonight, what I'll be watching when I get home, Toluca and Seattle. That's a 10 p.m. kickoff in Toluca. And then LAFC at home against Chivas. Chivas, historically, one of the better teams. Chivas, Tigres, Monterrey. I would probably, Pumas would maybe have something to say. Pachuca, but I think personally, Chivas, Monterrey, and Pumas, Chivas, Tigres, and Monterrey, the three best household names within Liga MX over the years. But those are the teams that are in action tonight. I mentioned Lionel Messi back in the lineup. Thrilled to bits to have Leo back. I think Inter Miami is obviously a completely different team with Lionel Messi. Now, the last game against the Columbus Crew, you had a lot of players unavailable for the match. International duty, a couple of the U20 teams are doing qualifications right now on the international side. So you had a couple of players for Inter Miami unavailable for that. You've had 5 players injured in Gonzalo Luan, Tadio Allende and company. Allende and Luan, I think the two household starters that have been out of the lineup. Sergio Reguilon as well, the heir apparent to Jordi Alba at the left back. Obviously, Messi and Rodrigo de Paul were back last game. But Inter Miami has dealt with a lot of injuries, rest, international duty over the last couple of games. But tonight, outside of Luis Suarez, Inter Miami should be close to full strength. And for the record, Luis Suarez not available tonight. He is suspended for 6 games within the Leagues Cup. Luis Suarez, after the Cup final against Seattle, got into an altercation with some players and staffers for Seattle, and unfortunately, a video came out of Luis Suarez spitting on a staffer, and he got suspended for 6 games from Leagues Cup. So no Luis Suarez for the foreseeable future within the tournament, and Germán Berterame is still injured, battling concussions. If you remember, against CF Montreal, Germán had a very unfortunate injury. It was very scary. If I'm being honest, folks, I was on the call for the game. It was a very scary injury, about a very bad concussion. But it's been good news since then. It's been good news for Birdie. I think he's going to be back. I never want to speculate about a concussion, but from everything that I'm seeing and that I've read, I've seen late August for Germán Berterame. But the key thing there is to make sure Birdie doesn't have any symptoms and he is 100% ready to go. He did have to leave his concussion-like symptoms and what happened after the concussion. He had to leave in a stretcher and in an ambulance. So once again, it was a pretty scary situation on the broadcast, and I'm just happy that he is okay. But he's not available, so no striker. Listen, Lionel Messi could play any damn position as an attacker, but you get what I'm saying. No striker in Berterame and Suarez, with those two being injured. I am expecting Lionel Messi to play the number 10 tonight. And when I mean the number 10, the full-on striker role. I think Lionel Messi, the best right winger, and once again, Messi, the greatest player of all time, but certainly the greatest right winger of all time with his inverted left foot. But tonight he will be centralized and he will be the vocal point at striker. Messi's always the vocal point on this Inter Miami team. I hear you, but he will be playing. I think you'll be seeing him play more advanced tonight. I am interested to see who they're going to pair him up with. Obviously, Matteo Silvetti. I think you're going to get a full dose of him. We are about 10 minutes away from getting starting lineups tonight. The game is at 7:30. We're almost at 6:30. We're 10 minutes away from 6:30. But I'm expecting Matteo Silvetti, Daniel Pinter, and probably Lionel Messi. I think maybe even Talasco Segovia. But I think it's going to be a strong lineup. And I was on Sirius XM this morning talking Inter Miami, and I called my shot, man. I think Inter Miami is going to dominate this tournament. I think if you see a Lionel Messi that we've seen in the MLS who has, I want to make sure I'm right on this. The last time we checked, Leo had about 12 goals in league play. Obviously, Messi hasn't necessarily played since coming back from the World Cup. But yes, Leo has 12 goals and 7 assists. 19 goal contributions for Lionel Messi within the MLS. And then throw on top the World Cup, where he scored 8 games in so many games at the North America 2026 World Cup. I mean, truly, if you get the Lionel Messi that we've seen throughout this calendar season, I don't see how we'll be stopped. And I know Monterrey is a good opponent. I don't want to sleep on San Luis. You know, San Luis, listen, in my opinion, every Liga MX team is respectable, similar to MLS. You know what I mean? The Liga MX, it's a very respectable league in my eyes. Listen, a lot of people would say it's the best league in North America. I'm not one of those people. I think it's by far and not even close to the MLS. But there are people out there that think that. For the record, I did want to go through where San Luis finished on the Liga MX table last year. They finished in 14th with 5 wins, 3 draws, and 9 losses. I mean, this is, for the sake of the argument, it's a bottom half team. It's a bottom 4 team in Liga MX. I understand that it's a new year. Things change. There's different faces, different players. You had a full transfer window to get the team better. But Inter Miami is the favorite tonight. Do not get it twisted. And me personally, and the expectations that I have, and even that I think the expectation ownership has, this is a tournament that I think Inter Miami should dominate and get to a cup final. We've seen them do it over the last 2 years, winning it 2 years ago, obviously getting to the final last year and losing to Seattle. With all the good mojo I think that Inter Miami has had throughout the MLS season, I think we're carrying a tremendous amount of momentum into this fixture tonight at New Bank Stadium. 888-760-3776. That's the number to call on in. This is Pink Smoke on ESPN 106.3. Mike Rizzo, live at New Bank Stadium. We're about 5-ish minutes away from getting starting lineups between Inter Miami and San Luis. For those of you that aren't necessarily familiar with Leagues Cup, I will explain it again when we return from the timeout. But Leagues Cup, another top-tier competition within North America. And it's got direct results. It's going to be a direct reflection on who is going to be playing in CONCACAF Champions Cup. And our fearless leader and chairman and CEO, Jorge Mas, something that he has mentioned is that he wants to win that CONCACAF Champions Cup. And if Inter Miami is able to get to this cup final, they will automatically qualify. Now, Inter Miami would certainly be able to qualify for the tournament by themselves within the MLS table. We got a lot of football to play within the MLS as well. But you could get ahead of the curve right now and get qualified for that CONCACAF Champions Cup, if you are one of the final teams. And Inter Miami has certainly had a lot of success within this tournament in years past. No Luis Suarez, no Herman Berterame coming up tonight. But Lionel Messi expected to start at striker on our Inter Miami radio network. And it'll be his first start since the North American World Cup. And, gosh, there's so many great moments that happened at that North American World Cup. I mean, with Lionel Messi, the hat trick against Algeria, the heroics in the knockout round. I mean, the Egypt game. There's a lot, like, not only there's mojo from the MLS, there is a lot of mojo coming with Leo from the World Cup. 888-760-3776. Let's take our first time out. When we come back, we'll continue the Leagues Cup conversation, and we will take your calls. Once again, 888-760-3776. This is Pink Smoke on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
For 40 years, Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fraunrath has stood up for clients in South Florida communities. If you've been injured, their experienced attorneys across South Florida are ready to fight for your rights. They've recovered billions for their clients. There's no cost for a case evaluation and no fee unless they win. Visit foryourrights.com. That's foryourrights.com. Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fraunrath. Proud supporters of Inter Miami FC on ESPN South Florida. Main office in Palm Beach Gardens.
The Summer of Audi sales event is here. The finesse, the precision, and the power. We know the sound of performance when we hear it. Game recognizes game.
Hey, it's Steph Prince here, and in South Florida, you need an AC team that can deliver in the clutch. That's why my family trusts Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning. As a mom of 3, trust me, when your AC goes down, you don't want to strike out with the wrong company. You want a team that keeps the process smooth, stress-free, and most importantly, keeps the family cool. And Bob Bradley knows a thing or two about coaching a winning team. He coached his son Bobby all the way to becoming a first-round draft pick, and now he's helping his grandson Trey develop his game. And one thing's for sure, high standards run in the Bradley family. Bob brings that same major league mindset to the team at Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning. From residential and commercial repairs to installations, maintenance, and upgrades, they step up to the plate and get the job done right the first time. And while Bob waits for Trey's call to the majors, he's still delivering major league service every single day right here in South Florida. Call Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning today at 561-793-7497 or visit bradleyair.com.
Whether you need batteries, tires, or services, we know you depend on your vehicle. You can depend on St. Lucie Battery and Tire with the largest inventories, expert technicians, and the best price out the door every day guaranteed. You'll drive away with confidence. Life doesn't stop, and neither should your car. St. Lucie Battery and Tire is here for you. Our experts keep your vehicle ready with batteries, tires, and service you can trust. Fast, friendly, and always reliable.
Need an extra boost? With Boost Checking from Flagler Credit Union, you can earn up to $700 each year with a 7.0% annual percentage yield on balances up to $10,000. That's real money for real moments, like a family getaway or treating yourself to something special. Boost Checking from Flagler Credit Union. Requirements apply to earn the highest dividend rates. Limit 1 checking account per membership. Dividend rates and annual percentage yield subject to change. Business accounts do not qualify. Insured by NCUA, official credit union of Florida Atlantic Athletics.
The Summer of Audi sales event is here. The finesse, the precision, and the power. We know the sound of performance when we hear it. Game recognizes game.
Since 2006, EDS Air Conditioning has kept Palm Beach County comfortable through every summer, every storm, and every season in between. EDS Air Conditioning is a trained comfort specialist. It's hard to stop a train. From dial thermostats to today's smart home systems, EDS delivers reliable comfort you can count on. With over 800 Google reviews and a 4.8 star rating, they've earned your trust. 20 years of keeping Palm Beach cool. Visit EDSisyes.com today.
Hi, I'm Wendy Sartori-Link, your Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections. The 2026 primary is on August 18th, and now is the time to make your game plan. Florida is a closed primary state, which means if you want to vote in a party's race, you need to be registered with that party at least 29 days before Election Day. Don't wait until the last minute. Check your registration and get election ready today. Visit votepalmbeach.gov to get started. That's votepalmbeach.gov. See you at the polls.
Business owners, are your employees driving you nuts? Is money tight? Or have you just poured your heart and soul into your business and now it's time to retire and just relax? At Transworld Business Advisors, they have buyers from all over the world ready to buy your business now. Call for a confidential conversation about your business's current value. 561-203-5121. That's 561-203-5121 or visit tworld.com today.
This is Pink Smoke.
Messi! One-timer to Segovia! Goal!
Here's Mike Rizzo.
Folks, our Inter Miami Herons begin their quest for another trophy coming up tonight against San Luis. And if you're like me and you love every single soccer match day, build a same-game parlay with my good friends at Hard Rock Bet. Maybe you like the GOAT, Lionel Messi, to score twice, a winger to get an assist, and Miami to score at least 3 goals. Folks, however you draw it up, Hard Rock Bet gives you tons of ways to stack your picks into an epic same-game parlay. Keep in mind, we're going to have Mexican Giant Monterrey here at New Bank Stadium as well. Leagues Cup action is here, and get involved with our good friends at Hard Rock Bet. Perfect time, and it's payable in bonus bets, not a cash offer. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms, conditions apply. If you or a friend are concerned about your gambling, please call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE. That's 1-833-PLAY-WISE. I mentioned we have Leagues Cup action coming up tonight. Lionel Messi going to be in the starting 11, but no Luis Suarez and no Germán Berterame. Inter Miami's attack probably going to be featuring Mateo Silvetti, Daniel Pinter, Lionel Messi and company against San Luis. I want to explain again exactly Phase 1 of Leagues Cup. I had a ton of friends and a ton of buddies explain to me how confusing, or rather how they thought it was confusing what Leagues Cup is. First off, Leagues Cup, it's a good way I could put it. It's a domestic cup. It's a domestic cup where Mexican teams, Liga MX, MLS, and American teams, MLS teams, and some Canada with Vancouver, obviously, compete against each other. It's 18 MLS teams and 18 Liga MX teams. Every game pits an MLS team against Liga MX. The winner, if you win in regulation, if you win in 90, you get 3 points. If it's tied after 90 minutes, you go to a penalty shootout. The winner of the penalty shootout gets 2 points. The loser gets 1 point. And, folks, as far as tiebreakers, if teams finish tied on points, ranking use regular time wins, goal difference, goals scored, goals conceded, and fair play points. Instead of a traditional multi-team group winner, group winners advance locally. The top 4 groups from each overall league table, Liga MX, and MLS, advance directly to the quarterfinal. 18 teams, folks. 18 teams. MLS group, Liga MX group. So 18 teams in the MLS, 18 teams in the Liga MX. The top 4 teams after the group stage will advance. And once again, winners 3 points, 90 and with 90 in regulation. 2 points for the penalty shootout, and 1 point if you get to the penalty shootout. Obviously, 0 points if you lose in 90 minutes. So it's going to be a fun tournament. It's a tournament that Inter Miami and Lionel Messi have had a lot of success in. They won a Leagues Cup with Lionel. We've lost a Cup final last year against Seattle, where famously Luis Suarez spit on a staffer and got into it with some Seattle players. But I did, for the record, I think this is a tournament where Inter Miami is going to go full out go for. I mean, best lineups, best players possible. I don't think Inter Miami is going to trot out a, quote, unserious lineup. Now, even if Inter Miami didn't play, some of their regular starting 11s, I personally think Inter Miami has the most depth in North America. I think our reserves could get a result against a team that finished 14th in Mexico last season. But I think it's full go, especially not after winning CONCACAF Champions Cup, a cup that our chairman and owner, Jorge Mas, certainly wanted to win before the season. It was the first thing he said after we won the MLS Cup last season. I think this is a tournament Inter Miami is going to go for it. And I think we're going to have a strong lineup. Once again, we're awaiting on lineups here. We're about an hour out from kickoff. We're awaiting on starting lineups on your Inter Miami radio network. Let's do our injury report presented by Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fromrath. For over 40 years, Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fromrath have been serving injured people and their families. Visit foryourrights.com. That is foryourrights.com. So, sadly, not injured but not available for tonight is our good friend Luis Suarez. Once again, for the record, Luis, my OG on-site producer, Oscar Gonzalez's favorite Inter Miami Heron. We will not be seeing Luis score goals in Oscar's name tonight because he is suspended. I mentioned multiple times on the broadcast today, he spit and got in an altercation with the Seattle staffer. What the sad part is, man, and truly I love calling Luis Suarez's games. I love calling his goals. Luis has 7 goal contributions in 3 MLS games. He's been the offense. You know, I know Lionel Messi has been unavailable for a lot of these games, and even dating back to his hat trick where Lionel Messi substituted himself off before the 2026 North American Cup and pouring down rain against Philly, you know, Luis Suarez has been the reason we've been able to get results. A brace against the Chicago Fire post the international break. I mentioned the hat trick, the final game before the international break. CF Montreal, you know, Luis scored a goal on the penalty after the Herman Berterame situation. And then against Columbus, you know, Luis scored 2. So, and had an assist. You know, he has been the offense over the last couple of weeks. And I think with Berterame being out of the roster as well, you're without 2 of your best attackers. Now, Lionel Messi is the best attacker arguably in the world, certainly in North America. But, you know, the depth at the attacking position might not be there tonight for our Herons. Once again, Herman Birdie's got a head injury. Suarez suspended. And Tadio Allende still dealing with that knee injury. Once again, this is your injury report presented by Little Rider, Smith, Ivy, and Farmrath. Visit foryourrights.com. That is foryourrights.com. They have main offices in Palm Beach Gardens. Sergio Reguilon has a hamstring. He's expected back in September. Gonzalo Luan, a calf injury, late August. Maxi Falcone, late August. So arguably 2 starting center backs in Luan and Falcone out with calf injuries. Now, one of those 2 usually gets paired up with Mikael. Mikael, the veteran Brazilian center back, has been a staple in this Inter Miami lineup this season, to the point where Inter Miami actually caught up Rizzo Caicedo, and I actually thought the young man played good against Columbus. I thought Caicedo, the young 18-year-old, played pretty good in that game against the Crew, and I thought he held his own. I'm assuming he's going to get the start again tonight. Keep in mind, Inter Miami could go to Ian Frey or Noah Allen, who's played center back before. I know they're historically fullbacks, but Noah Allen and Ian Frey have both gotten goes at center back before. And Ian Frey actually played center back against the Chicago Fire. So it's a position that he certainly is very familiar with. But I will be interested to see if head coach and gaffer Guillermo Hoyos decides to go with Caicedo, the young 18-year-old, or maybe go with a more veteran player in Noah Allen. Let's know thy opponent a little bit. Let's head on over to the Atlético de San Luis. And, folks, I'll be mentioning them as San Luis throughout the broadcast, but keep in mind, Atlético de San Luis is their official name. They finished 14th on the Liga MX table last year. Liga MX just started playing their games post the World Cup break. There have been 3 total weeks within Liga MX so far this season, and on the table, Atlético de San Luis, in their 3 games, they had 2 draws and a loss. So they're still looking for their first win of the season. And they're right planted at 15th right now. Now they're tied with multiple teams because it's very early in the season. But San Luis probably going to be, in my opinion, my honest opinion, a bottom-tier team within Liga MX again. Now, Rafa Loriente has 2 goals in the Liga MX season. He is a dangerous attacker, the 23-year-old man from Spain. He has found a home this season with Atlético de San Luis and has some very early success, scoring 2 goals in 3 games. Keep a lookout for Ramo Torres and Leandro Flores within the midfield. And this is a defensive-centered team. They have been known to park the bus and let their opponent have the ball. You know, with my scouting and my research that I've done, they're a defensive-centered team. They like to compact the midfield. Inter Miami likes to have the ball and play through the midfield. So it's going to be interesting to see an ultra attack team like our Inter Miami Herons, who like having the ball, who like bringing their fullbacks forward, who enjoy, passing the ball around, leading to opportunities. It's going to be interesting to see how they are going to line up against an uber defensive team in Atlético de San Luis. This is your Inter Miami Radio Network on ESPN 1063. I am Mike Rizzo. I am live at New Bank Stadium. We're getting ready for our 7:30 kickoff between Inter Miami and San Luis. To my left, my OG on-site producer, Oscar Gonzalez, my frequency coordinator, and Paul Adams, and our assistant producer, and Santi Rodriguez. We are moments away from getting starting lineups and figuring out who exactly is going to be lining up for our Inter Miami Herons. And it's going to be an exciting night. We are all expecting Lionel Messi to be in that starting 11. It's going to be Leo's first game starting post the North American World Cup. Leo came on and was a late substitute against the Crew. It was a 2-2 affair where Columbus was able to pick up a draw on a late goal from their most recent acquisition in Brace Mendez, the former Real Sociedad player. And it was an exciting matchup. It really was. Now, granted, I'm the ultimate Inter Miami homer. I hated not getting all 3 points. But for a neutral out there, pretty good matchup, which saw Lionel Messi substitute late into the game and almost get our Inter Miami Herons a game-winning goal. Messi had a couple of opportunities, but obviously Inter Miami unable to get that go-ahead goal. We'll continue to update you on Leagues Cup. We'll continue to update you on the MLS as well. When we return from a timeout, we'll break down what exactly has gone on in the MLS post the international break and the World Cup break. We'll take a look at who's at the top of the Liga MX tables. Once again, folks, Leagues Cup, where you have 18 teams from Liga MX, 18 teams from the MLS. We'll see what that table looks like on the Mexico side, too. What happened last year. We're very early into that Mexican season where there's only 18 teams. In the MLS, there are comparatively more teams. There's the East Coast, there's the West Coast. In Liga MX, there's 18 teams. And there are a lot of household Mexican teams within that league that I want to update you that we are obviously going to be seeing coming up in League Cup action. This is your Inter Miami Radio Network on ESPN 1063.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 1063.
The Summer of Audi sales event is here. The finesse, the precision, and the power. We know the sound of performance when we hear it. Game recognizes game.
Friday Night Lights are almost here. Colin Russo gets you ready for high school football with the names, programs, and matchups to watch around South Florida. From the teams making noise to the players ready to break through. This is where the season starts taking shape. Every Friday at 6 on ESPN 1063.
Since 2006, EDS Air Conditioning has kept Palm Beach County comfortable through every summer, every storm, and every season in between. EDS Air Conditioning is a trained comfort specialist. It's hard to stop a train. From dial thermostats to today's smart home systems, EDS delivers reliable comfort you can count on. With over 800 Google reviews and a 4.8 star rating, they've earned your trust. 20 years of keeping Palm Beach cool. Visit EDSIsYes.com today.
Hi, I'm Wendy Sartori-Link, your Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections. The 2026 primary is on August 18th, and now is the time to make your game plan. Florida is a closed primary state, which means if you want to vote in a party's race, you need to be registered with that party at least 29 days before Election Day. Don't wait until the last minute. Check your registration and get election ready today. Visit votepalmbeach.gov to get started. That's votepalmbeach.gov. See you at the polls.
Business owners, are your employees driving you nuts? Is money tight? Or have you just poured your heart and soul into your business and now it's time to retire and just relax? At Transworld Business Advisors, they have buyers from all over the world ready to buy your business now. Call for a confidential conversation about your business's current value. 561-203-5121. That's 561-203-5121 or visit tworld.com today.
It's the summer sales event with the Ford crew.
Anna, what says summer to you?
Sunshine, road trips, camping.
And?
Ford being #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands according to J.D. Power.
And?
And low APR offers with Ford credit financing on a select lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs.
My kind of summer.
For APR offer information, visit Ford.com or your local Ford dealer. For J.D. Power 2026 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2026 model year.
Hey, it's Steph Prince here, and in South Florida, you need an AC team that can deliver in the clutch. That's why my family trusts Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning. As a mom of 3, trust me, when your AC goes down, you don't want to strike out with the wrong company. You want a team that keeps the process smooth, stress-free, and most importantly, keeps the family cool. And Bob Bradley knows a thing or two about coaching a winning team. He coached his son Bobby all the way to becoming a first-round draft pick, and now he's helping his grandson Trey develop his game. And one thing's for sure, high standards run in the Bradley family. Bob brings that same major league mindset to the team at Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning. From residential and commercial repairs to installations, maintenance, and upgrades, they step up to the plate and get the job done right the first time. And while Bob waits for Trey's call to the majors, he's still delivering major league service every single day right here in South Florida. Call Bradley Heating and Air Conditioning today at 561-793-7497 or visit bradleyair.com.
Need an extra boost? With Boost Checking from Flagler Credit Union, you can earn up to $700 each year with a 7.0% annual percentage yield on balances up to $10,000. That's real money for real moments, like a family getaway or treating yourself to something special. Boost Checking from Flagler Credit Union. Requirements apply to earn the highest dividend rates. Limit 1 checking account per membership. Dividend rates and annual percentage yield subject to change. Business accounts do not qualify. Insured by NCUA, official credit union of Florida Atlantic Athletics.
The Summer of Audi sales event is here. The finesse, the precision, and the power. We know the sound of performance when we hear it. Game recognizes game.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen from Unsportsmanlike, and if you love football, you're in the right place. ESPN 106.3 has it all. Thursday, the long football drought is over, and I refuse to be reasonable about it. Panthers, Cardinals, and the Hall of Fame game. We kick off at 8 on ESPN 106.3.
Since 2006, EDS Air Conditioning has kept Palm Beach County comfortable through every summer, every storm, and every season in between. EDS Air Conditioning is a trained comfort specialist. It's hard to stop a train. From dial thermostats to today's smart home systems, EDS delivers reliable comfort you can count on. With over 800 Google reviews and a 4.8-star rating, they've earned your trust. 20 years of keeping Palm Beach cool. Visit EDSisyes.com today.
This is Pink Smoke.
Messi, one-timer to Segovia, goal!
Here's Mike Rizzo.
We have starting lineups on your Inter Miami Radio Network. Lionel Messi starting in the lineup like we expected. And we are full go at New Bank Stadium against San Luis. Leagues Cup action. Inter Miami in their first of 3 matches against Liga MX opponents in Leagues Cup. Atlético de San Luis, a team who finished 14th on the table, is our opponent tonight in Miami. But before we get into all of that, folks, I do want to create our parlay of the game with our good friends at Hard Rock Bet. Inter Miami is beginning their quest for another trophy tonight against San Luis. If you're like me, every soccer match day means building a same-game parlay with Hard Rock Bet. Maybe you like the GOAT to score twice tonight, a winger to record an assist, and Miami to score at least 3 goals. However you draw it up, Hard Rock Bet gives you tons of ways to stack your picks in an epic same-game parlay. And let's make our own parlay here on our Inter Miami Radio Network. But before all of that, I want you all to gamble responsibly and keep in mind, payable and bonus bets, not a cash offer. Offered by Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus, physically present in Florida to wager. Terms, conditions apply. If you or a friend are concerned about gambling, please call 1-833-PLAY-WISE. That's 1-833-PLAY-WISE. Once again, offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. 21 plus and physically present in Florida to bet and wager. Terms, conditions apply. Concerned about gambling, please call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE. All right, I'm going to keep this simple. The Mike Rizzo parlay of the night, Lionel Messi, anytime goal. Inter Miami over on their goals at 2.5. And I'm going to go with a Casemiro assist. So Casemiro, anytime goal or assist. Lionel Messi to score, and Inter Miami over on the goal line. I am big on Inter Miami tonight. I think this is an opponent in Atlético de San Luis who is outmatched. Inter Miami is just the better team. Listen, sometimes this is an American football saying. Sometimes the Jimmies and the Joes are better than the other Jimmies and the Joes. We have the better players tonight. And I think Inter Miami is well on their way to a blowout victory tonight. Famous last words, but we'll have to wait and see on your Inter Miami Radio Network. The official homer parlay of the night. Lionel Messi anytime goal, Casemiro anytime goal or an assist, and Inter Miami over on their goal line. Let's take a look at Inter Miami and their schedule. Our Herons are going to be playing a lot of games. We're going to be very busy on the Inter Miami Radio Network, myself and Oscar, because we have a game today, obviously Wednesday. We have a game this Saturday coming up against Monterrey, and then Wednesday, all 3 home games, by the way. So this time next week, Inter Miami will be facing Leon, but San Luis, Monterrey, and Leon. And then no rest for the weary, because that same Saturday, we have an MLS fixture against Nashville on the 15th. So today, folks, the 5th. So from the 5th to the 15th, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 games. 4 games in the next 11 days. Very, very busy Inter Miami Radio Network for all of you that are listening. Once again, get tapped in, folks. Get subscribed. ESPN West Palm FC. My guy, Kate Chumsland, back at the City Place Studios in downtown West Palm Beach, always posting fire highlights on the YouTube page, posting guests from Pink Smoke. I'm at your mercy tonight. No guests tonight because I'm here at New Stadium. I actually just I literally, during the break, tried to grab my good buddy Mauricio Adu, former United States men's national team player, and I think he's actually on the call for the Fox broadcast tonight on TV. But regardless, folks, we're always getting big names in the American soccerverse. Be tapped in at ESPN West Palm FC. That's at ESPN West Palm FC. Subscribe today. Get your Inter Miami fix. Get your Inter Miami highlights right here on your Inter Miami Radio Network. Now, the starting 11 for Inter Miami, we'll work our way from the back, then to the top. You have Rocco Rios Novo in net tonight, and Rocco has taken over the goalkeeping post the international break. Rios Novo, who helped Inter Miami win an MLS Cup, has been the go-to guy for Guillermo Hoyos post the break. He will be in net. Now, your defenders tonight, you're going to have Caicedo starting again. So Frizio Caicedo, the 18-year-old from Ecuador, from Market Academy, he's going to be starting at center back. You have Ian Frey. So Ian Frey, Caicedo, Noah Allen. Those are 3 of your defenders, and I'm trying to find the final defender as we got Mikael as well. So Mikael, Noah Allen, Ian Frey, and Rocco Rios Novo in net. In the midfield, you have Yannick Bright, Lionel Messi, Talasco Segovia, Casemiro, and Rodrigo de Paul. And then up top, you have Silvetti and a Daniel Pinter and a couple of the usual suspects with Lionel Messi. So not a surprising 11, a full-on, full-throttle 11 for Guillermo Hoyos and Inter Miami. And once again, No Luis Suarez. Luis Suarez on a 6-game suspension in Leagues Cup. And, folks, I actually am at your mercy. It's Daniel Pinter, Lionel Messi as a dual-strike partnership for what I'm looking at. And then off the bench is going to be Matteo Silvetti. So Silvetti available off the bench. Sergio Reguilon also available off the bench. So a couple of key players for Inter Miami who have been injured in weeks past are going to be on the bench for the Herons in this matchup. But I am massively big on Lionel Messi to score tonight. I think Casemiro gets right in the midfield as well. Casemiro had a howler last game. He had an own goal, and sadly it was it was a turnover. And I give him credit. He fought hard, ran back on defense, and then had the own goal. But I think I've been hearing some Casemiro slander too over the last couple of days. I think that ends tonight. For the record, folks, I'm a diehard Inter Miami fan and a diehard Manchester United fan. Casemiro, one of my favorite players in the world. I will always defend my guy. And I think he's going to have a big game tonight. I think he assists a goal to Lionel Messi on the Inter Miami radio network tonight. And remember what Casemiro said about Messi. He said he came to Miami to play with the god of football, obviously referring to the greatest player of all time in Lionel Messi. So Messi and Pinter up top, a mixture of Rodrigo de Paul, Casemiro, Yannick Bright in the midfield, Rocco Rios Novo in net, your usual suspects on your Inter Miami radio network, and someone who isn't a usual starter, once again in the lineup, Rizzo Caicedo, the young man who I actually thought had a really solid game the last time he came out against the Columbus Crew. Inter Miami coming off of a draw. They're on an incredible unbeaten streak as well. Inter Miami hasn't lost in over a month and a half, and that's including post the World Cup. But I fancy our chances tonight against San Luis. This is a team in San Luis who, let's call a spade, not the best team in the league. A bottom 4 team last year. They're already a bottom 4 team early on in 3 games of the season. I think there's more quality on the Inter Miami side. Our parlay of the night, Lionel Messi to score, Casemiro to score or assist, Inter Miami over on goals. Taking a 30-minute timeout. When we come back, kickoff on your Inter Miami radio network.
For 40 years, Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fraunrath has stood up for clients in South Florida communities. If you've